This video is about Oppenheimer. This is a very complex case. Was it a crime or just science? Before we start the story, please make sure that you subscribe to Stories of Crime World channel. Like the video. He helped build the most powerful weapon the world had ever seen. He led the Manhattan Project, won the praise of presidents, and was called the father of the atomic bomb. But only a decade later, that same man found himself inside a small security hearing room, accused, humiliated, and stripped of everything. This is the story of how J. Robert Oppenheimer went from America's greatest scientist to a man treated like a national threat. A story of politics, paranoia, fear, and power. J. Robert Oppenheimer wasn't just brilliant, he was extraordinary. A theoretical physicist fluent in multiple languages, admired by students, and feared by his competitors. In 1942, America called upon him to lead a secret project, build the world's first atomic bomb. In Los Alamos, New Mexico, he led hundreds of scientists working day and night. And in July 1945, the world changed forever. The Trinity test succeeded. Oppenheimer would later recall a line from the Hindu scripture he loved, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." But behind Oppenheimer's brilliance was a complicated past. He had friends who were members of the Communist Party. His wife had been involved with left-wing groups, and Oppenheimer himself had attended political meetings in the 1930s. In the early days, none of this mattered. America needed the bomb. But after the war, things changed. The Soviet Union tested its own nuclear weapon. Fear and suspicion began to spread across the United States. The era of the Red Scare had begun. Enter Lewis Strauss, a powerful figure in Washington. Strauss admired Oppenheimer at first, but over time, their relationship crumbled. Oppenheimer mocked Strauss publicly, disagreed with him on nuclear policy, and stood against the development of the hydrogen bomb. Strauss saw him not as a hero, but as a threat. And in 1953, he made his move. Oppenheimer was accused of being a security risk, and so began one of the most controversial hearings in American history. The hearing wasn't held in a courtroom, it wasn't public, and Oppenheimer had limited rights. For weeks, he was questioned about his past political connections, old friendships, even personal relationships. The scientists who once stood with him were pressured to testify, and through it all, one theme kept returning. Was Oppenheimer loyal to the United States? Despite no evidence of wrongdoing, the hearing concluded that he could not be trusted with America's nuclear secrets. His security clearance and his career were taken away. Overnight, Oppenheimer went from national hero to isolated silent scientist. He kept teaching, he kept writing, but he never again held the influence he once had. In private, friends said he felt betrayed, not only by the government, but by a country he believed he had served decades later. The truth became undeniable. Oppenheimer had not committed a crime. He had been punished for his politics, his opinions, and the fear-driven politics of the Cold War. In 2022, almost 70 years after the hearing, the U.S. government officially reversed the decision. Oppenheimer was finally cleared, his name restored. But history remembers the damage. A brilliant mind, a national hero, and a man undone not by justice, but by suspicion, ego, and power. You're watching Stories of Criminal World. Thank you for joining us. Was the Oppenheimer case a crime or just science? Leave your comments. Subscribe for more stories behind history's most dramatic controversy.